Hey, yeah, yo.
How do you think the ethnic minorities can work together in terms of building a stronger strategy and policy? Because I feel like whether we like it or not, we spoke about the Bain thing earlier. That's where we're labeled. That's where we're dumped at. You know what I mean? As a group, how do we, kind of go through some of the politics that we have?
Yeah, it's a good point. People might not agree with me, but I see the word BAME as dangerous as the word black on black crime. Because BAME, when you look at what BAME incorporates, how many different communities, yeah,
It's deep.
it incorporates the affluent South Asian communities that live, in them gated community. You understand them,
Surely.
and it
I see
also
them.
and it also incorporates, the newly arrived Syrian family
That's deep.
on the 14th floor with no English, but they're both
gaps.
BAME.
Yeah, it don't add up.
It don't add up.
Yeah,
It don't
gap's
add up.
Massive.
They're drawing vouchers. They've got 10 properties. It's not, do you understand? So in terms of BAME, the whole conversation about that word has to be deconstructed. We're having that conversation this month.
Well, who even came up with that?
Well, yeah, but look, you have to go back to understand when you talk about the 70s and 80s, we'll do a little bit of context. The strategy is what we call multiculturalism. So we'll give the Ethiopians a center, the Palestinians a center, the Ugandans a center, the Irish a center, the Polish a center, the Jamaicans a Caribbean center. That's multiculturalism. We'll meet at work, and our kids might go to the same school, but we go back to our communities. That's multiculturalism. That was replaced by community cohesion. That's why you see Carnival, Notting That's the cohesion, yeah. Policeman will hold a wine. Yeah. You'll grab a piece of jerk chicken. People, everyone. That's supposed to be the community cohesion. What we're looking at is interculturalism. So in this country, what you're going to have in the next 10 years, you're going to have children who are half Latvian and half Somali. Bro.
It's happening. Trust me, man.
Exactly.
It's happening.
The interculturalism, but it's all interculturalism that we understand and we work together. That's what you're referring to. That's what's intercultural. Multiculturalism, racists say it didn't work. People of color say it didn't work because it kept us separate. I believe back to what we were saying earlier, Musa, I believe these young people, they're creating the model for interculturalism.
Yeah, they are, because they're stuck like you said, because of that interracial mix right there, they're stuck in a line where if a man's trying to run joke at Latvia, they have to stand up tall. The next minute you run joke about Somalia, they got to stand up tall again. Yeah. So they're not accepting it from either way. So then that does bridge the gap. And I think the more it's happening, the more that we're seeing that. But I feel like what foundations can we lay as a community, as a people? Obviously, we know, like we talked about economics and how important that is. And I feel like sometimes, I feel like that's a conversation on its own in terms of the impact that economics has. Because I look at, communities who are deemed to be much smaller, but their economics are right, and no one don't chat to them. And we can say, like, example, the Jewish community. We're not too far from here, from Stamford Hill. They're a small community. But yeah, because their economics is right and how they deal with themselves, they have the same issues in their schools that maybe an Islamic school has or and any other type of school has. Yeah. But you hardly hear them being mentioned, and I feel like that has a lot to do with economically how they structure themselves and what they can do.
Any affluent community, Indian, Hindu communities, communities that are
the Indian
Chinese,
Hindu community.
What they didn't lose, they haven't lost sight of the bag. Simple as that. Back to Marcus Garvey. He bought a ship, the Black Star Line, a ship. Deep. It's like for a black man to turn up with a ship. Back then as well.
Yeah. So
right? Printing press. He got some things wrong. But what I'm saying, he said, don't lose sight of the bag. Right? Economics. This isn't about chasing dunya. And if you think it's about chasing dunya, go and find out how much Hajj costs.
It's true.
Go and find out how much it costs. A decent package.
Yeah.
Right? So even your ibadah costs.
Yeah.
Right?
It's deep.
Right? So, but you got to have an economic blueprint. an economic plan. So more businesses, more entrepreneurship, right? And it doesn't have to be big. It's just enough to cut through, right? There are going to be people who are book smart, who want to go into professions and stuff like that. But if you're, and to be fair, a lot of the African community haven't lost sight of that.
True.
They haven't lost sight of that. A lot of the professionals, a lot of the graduates, but also, how do you future-proof your community? That's what I would say. Meaning, what's coming down the line? So look, these young brothers here set this up. This is a business.
100%.
It's business. But here's the thing, and this is the challenge. Half of business is about showing up,
100%.
turning up. Not turning up not the red cups turning up. Showing up, turning up on time. When you do, like the Prophet ﷺ says, do it with ihsan. Yeah. Stephen Covey talks about in the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, measure twice, cut once.
Deep.
Right? It's from a fundamental level, we've got to do away with the boy oxtail run out, that one was oxtail run out 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or that you're waiting for your barber at 11:45, he hasn't lifted the shutters. We've got to, because when I go to the Turkish man, 8 o'clock he's playing Turkish songs, shutters are up.
But why is that then? Why do you think
culture?
But
not when I say culture, because when I was in America not so long ago, you got to have a certificate to be a barber.
No, but why is some ethnic background?
Just talk it, don't filter it.
Yeah,
why is the oxtail running out at 1 o'clock? All right.
Black people like this.
I want to know, why is the oxtail coming late?
Why are people like this? Why are they too relaxed?
Nah. It's not. You know what it is. Okay? It's not that. You know what it is. It's chicken and egg. Honestly, because especially our community, we get the hard we get that kind of, why I don't like buying from a Caribbean because, but then Turtle Bay flips in front of your eyes. I went to Turtle Bay in Chelmsford.
I've never been to Turtle Bay in my.
I went as a business meeting, right? Work meeting. Before you think I've went clear to Chelmsford for a Turtle Bay, and I kid you not, there wasn't one person of color working in there. The only people of color in there was the Dennis Brown, Barrington Levy wallpaper in the toilet.
Deep.
That could never happen in another community. But if you've got this thing, if you don't have the insight to flip it properly, someone else will take it and make millions off it, 100%. Right? So that's the thing.
But
back to what you said though, why? It's not why, because let's go back to the Windrush pictures. Man never came off looking dusty and dishevelled, and look at the pictures of them coming off the Windrush boat. Look how they were dressed.
Man was fresh, suits,
Fresh
tie,
off the
everything.
boat,
Like you said, you can
but
see,
it's not
man.
that. I just
My
feel
dad
like,
used to get his suits from Sweden when he was in yard.
Look at that. Yeah, they were fresh.
Tailored, right? Shoes.
Just look.
Yeah.
So what's
they were
changed
fresh.
though? What's changed? What do you think has made people change? Or do you think that's a UK thing?
I think like there's a lot of. For me, I'm an ignorant man, but I look at things and I look at setups. I look at council estates. Like growing up from Wolf Road, I lived on Aylesbury. Aylesbury is Europe's biggest estate. Yeah, Aylesbury, is like, I think it's about 2 miles long. One way, that way. It's massive. And on top of that, it's knocking that now. But that's been there for years, for as long as I know, last 30
They used to have a lot of
30
shoots
plus
and
years.
stuff, innit?
Yeah, and they still do it now. So now Aylesbury had bridges that connected you. So example,
I've seen that.
Yeah, so it connects you from the first. It's about 3 miles long. So from that part to the other side of the estate, there's bridges. So you can walk on the estate and never touch the ground and never have to come off. On that estate was shops for your groceries. There's 2 schools on that estate, secondary school and a primary school, nurseries, everything. There's also a GP and a doctor's on that estate. You never have to leave that estate.
You want to put it in a sentence for you? A bird born in a cage thinks that flying is insanity.
100%.
But okay.
So when you're on that, you see, most people don't even realize. Let's look at a visit to the doctors. You can ask most people, how many times do you see the same doctor 2-3 times in a row? Rarely.
Once upon a time when I grew up, but not now.
Yeah. Right? But you go to the more affluent communities, that's the doctor.
That's their doctor.
That's their doctor. You're getting locum doctors. He's got no relationship with you. He just see, or she's just seen notes. might not even have the cultural competency to work with you, right? Sometimes don't even give you eye contact. You know, when you talk about poverty, you know, it's more than just fiscal money. It's accepting that your bins are not getting collected. You think that when you mentioned Stanford, you think they'd accept that up there?
No.
If they're late by half a day, the MP's getting a letter.
Yeah.
And what we've done, we've allowed people to lower the waterline. To speak to your question, brother, lower the waterline so we accept certain things, and we shouldn't be accepting them because my dad wouldn't accept.
But that's the breakdown. I feel like that's the beating up of the community for so long to the point where you get to a point where you start thinking the fact that they're breaking me off a little something, like you originally, like your wage was £100, but they beat you up so badly to the point now you're happy with the 50 they give you, to the point you forgot your wage was 100. So now every time he breaks you off with 50, you're like, cool, we bought the 50, I'm good. My man's telling you about your wage was 100 a couple years back, but he just stopped paying you the 100. You don't even know why, and then we start to accept certain things.
Yeah, and you know, I was watching the Tottenham documentary the other day with is it Danny Rose? Yeah. And there's a real awkward scene where he's communicating with the chief exec in the canteen about his contract, and he's mic'd up.
Deep.
Right? And I'm like, I was speaking to my colleague about it and saying, look at that. He's speaking about his multi-million-pound contract privately. It's supposed to be private. It's supposed to be solicitors and chief exec, but over lunch in a football canteen, and he's a multi-millionaire. And it's also, this is what it says, what you accept, right? And for us, when I say us, it's for people who've been through our experiences as communities. You know, the line has been drawn.
Deep.
The line has been drawn because this generation coming through of young people, they're not really on a lot of like dialogue because they've grown up with each other knowing, well, that's my white brethren, that's my Asian brethren. If I'll hold a rice and peas today, I'll hold a jollof tomorrow. I might go and hold some sukhar with the Somalis. Yeah, we listen to the same things, we watch the same things, we dress the same, right? So this kind of racism stuff, it doesn't resonate with them.
Yeah, it don't.
It doesn't resonate with them.
It don't.
Whereas our elders would have been like, if I burn it down now, that means I might get sent back home.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's true.
And people are depending upon me. You know, so I think for me going forward is about also the handover. What knowledge could you impart? Who's the right person for it? Like this Black History Month, how many people have done something? And we're not going to do something because there's no funding for it.
That's deep.
Do you think Black History Month is important?
Yep.
Why?
If it's delivered right, it's important because it's an opportunity to offer a counter narrative, right? It's an opportunity to have a counter narrative. So there's very few opportunities to have the counter narrative. I was watching that clip of that thing, that comedy show the other day. What's it called?
Sure.
And the woman had she was in a business meeting. It's happy birthday, and that's
Tom, what's it called? Tom something, and they done drill music,
right?
No, basically it's a comedian. I think.
Something like
but
that.
he does different skits,
Right?
and
maybe it's my age, but you know, our visibility, how we show up is very, very important. And one of the things with Black History Month is that let's move the classic stories and start having an honest conversation about equality of opportunity. So when we're talking about people who are great, one of the greatest people out there, black people ever, is the old black woman with the shopping trolley. You know what I'm saying? With the shopping trolley, right? It's the old man that used to be a mechanic in the hood, right? Opened a business in the 70s, right? It's the faith leaders, whatever community you're from, who have galvanized their communities and have not only just been faith leaders but been counselors. It's the people who set up the partner or the credit unions, right? It's these people who built their communities. We can't always keep looking over there for these major kind of individuals. We have people amongst us who have built communities,
100%.
but who's going to continue to build them?
So I got a question. So how does Black History Month counteract your opponent or your opposite? How do you convey? How does it benefit? Like, because for example,
Because I can answer that.
okay,
Anyone who goes off this podcast and looks up Drapetomania, get in the comments.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right, that way. It's just adding value, right, and added to the story, because you hear all the scenarios. The story of the lion is always written by the hunter.
yeah.
Yeah.
The lion never
Yeah,
lives
you know what I'm
to
saying?
tell his tale.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's got to be a reason. Why was reading illegal in slavery? Why would you nearly lose your life if you were caught reading?
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's where it is. The history is in the knowledge. The knowledge is in the history.
Yeah.
I just feel like
Yeah.
I just
But
feel like,
no. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is fuel. Action is power. Because you can sit on one bag of books and quote all day long, but action's power. Mashallah, when you set this up, right, you have to understand not just the place, but understand oils, understand what works in what weather, understand different people's pH. Yeah, you get what I mean? Like you could put an attar on in autumn in London, but then go and put it on in Ethiopia in summer, and it smells different. So it's about that ihsan and knowledge. Knowledge. People say knowledge is power. I don't believe that, because you're most. You know, a man who's shooting up the place, shutting up the place. He knows who Malcolm X is. He's read the book, watched the film. It's when he puts that down and replaces it with something positive. That's the power.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I think like to have action, you need to have knowledge to basically create the action, isn't it?
Yeah, and I feel like it's people's perception of knowledge and what knowledge is. Because I always say it to people, when someone says knowledge to me, I will never accept knowledge being knowledge without action. So if you say you have knowledge but you don't have action, yet for me you don't have knowledge. I just think I don't know what you have, because I always say, "Oh, you got information." I'll tell man, a lot of man's got information.
It's like
Because information is something that this is why like a lot of people come to you and debate you about Black history, because they'll have a lot of information about it, but they won't have real self knowledge of it.
We've
and
got
being
that
able to put it
in
into
Alladina Amanu. We're every time.
Yeah.
Knowledge and action is not just the belief. The action comes always in the same ayah. So that's a sign for us, right? But I think we've also got to be mindful, right, of having too much knowledge. What do I mean by that?
That's from the
A man can tell you everything, quote everything, right? It's like those, you get invited to those. We've all got those people who invite you to these like business seminars or the ACN stuff, right? All of that, right? And
man's promoting AC.
no, not me. No. Because when a man said,
I was gonna check it out now,
bro,
ACN.
no. Listen. I'm gonna give you a joke, and I hope this brother doesn't watch this podcast. I was up north, and a man said to me, "A long time no see, Raymond. When you come through, I'm gonna cook some lamb. Musa, I'm gonna cook some lamb. We're gonna sit down and break bread, right? Long time in a city. And I've never seen this man out of a qamis, never turban, right?
I'm telling you,
right? I turn up now in his yard, big screens on. There's a guy in there in a the royal blue suit, in his front room,
Red tie.
right? Click, and I said, stop. What? So forget this. Where's the dough and when do you get it? I'm getting to no. Where's the dough and when do you get it? It's a universal law of business.
Yeah.
I'm not. No one's
Show
into
me the
romance. No. No one's into romance.
Yeah.
Where's the money and when do you get it? Ask if we go out there now on the high street and them shop court. They're about. I make 3 pence off every lollipop. They know making 3 pence off every lollipop. They sell 100 a week. They know how much they're making. Universal laws, that's the point I'm making. There's universal laws that do not change, whether we were hunters and gatherers or right now whether someone's flipping t-shirts on Instagram. Where's the dough and when do you get it?
Yeah.
Collecting pennies to
Yeah,
get your fix.
exactly. Universal laws, and they will never change, right? And that's the thing for me. we as humans, oppression is forbidden. Whatever you believe in, you'll all go back. Oppression is forbidden. Oppressing somebody else because of their color, and it works both ways, is forbidden by the Most High.
That's it.
And there's no sugar, oppressing someone, right? Is so no matter what, if we don't live to see the results of this, there's going to be a generation that lived a time when it's not going to be accepted. And you're starting to see that now.
100%. 100%.
And no disrespect to Manu and to ACN, but
Nah,
but we're tired.
Did you sign up then? Did you sign up?
Nah, bro. About black man can't fool again,
When they crashed then, and one man was onto me for the longest. ACN, XN, the thing crashed. He never ring me again. Never said no mention.
Yeah. And the psychology. This is what I mean. The psychology. Oh, I thought you were more intelligent than that.
Yeah, that's what they tried to ring.
Right, but the point is, if you're not grounded enough, you'll go with every wave. Right, you go with every wave. That's what I think you're grounded. What do you stand for? Right, we're spiritually, physically, financially, mentally. What do you stand for? What do you absorb? What do you process? What do you consume? We have a problem. I think one of the problems is we got a lot of double conscience in our communities, right? And it's time for people to take a position. If you're about progress, if you're about, and it doesn't want to sound all, peace building. If you're about seeing your people in your community as brothers and sisters, then act accordingly.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you're not about that, you are reinforcing a white supremacist agenda.
100%.
And you may not want to hear that, but that's the truth.
100%.
If you're from the Ummah and you're not dealing with other people from the Ummah, right, you are supporting a white supremacist agenda, and that goes back to Shaitan.
100%.
Would you say basically be woke?
Nah.
Because it's subjective. Be woke is.
No, I mean now. What you just said now.
Ma.
If you end up supporting the white supremacist
agenda,
you're not being woke, kind of thing.
Well, I don't use that word. I don't know what it means.
Myself,
but I know what you mean.
But
I know what you mean. But I would even go one step further.
Be awake.
Nah, I would say as someone I'm a displaced African. My dad's from Jamaica, but he's a displaced African. Look back to what your ancestors. There's a poet that says something phenomenal. He said, he goes, remember you're going to be somebody's ancestor, so act accordingly.
Yeah. And that's deep. That's what I like to hear, things like that. And even the thing that you said earlier when the man said that measure twice and cut once. Yeah. Because everyone that measures once ends up cutting twice. And that's the reality. Yeah, you measure once, you end up mashing up the thing because you should have measured twice, and then it allows you then,
there's wall plugs all over the wall.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, because man's not doing the measurements. And and I feel like that's what it is. A lot of the time, I feel like people are trying to take shortcuts when I think like the footsteps have been set by those that came before us, those predecessors, those Salaf, whoever they were, who kind of showed us the blueprint of how to bring around change in policies and to also galvanize people. And like you said, a lot of them didn't do this for man to put them on t-shirts and hats and to wave their flags and to say, X, Malcolm X, and get t-shirt. And that's not what Malcolm X was here for, nor those people who came before us. They left a load of things written down in books, strategic strategies of how to make change, how to bring around change. And even as Muslims ourselves, we know how that looks like, because we saw how a small group of people, in the Arabian Peninsula at a time where they were bringing a message that was strange, were able to deliver that message and allow, groups of different ethnicities to be sitting here today, claiming that same statement of statement of belief. So I just feel like there's a lot that we can learn. We're definitely in a difficult time as a community in terms of, with so much going on. I feel like also technology, I don't know, technology helps and also hinders at the same time. And I feel like you said, there's a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of people who are who are what are they, agents in the system, you know what I'm saying? And they're feeding man a load of stuff that's really not taking us nowhere. And then they're getting us to busy ourselves with certain arguments and fights, and they're not allowing us to really process a pathway to move forward. But one thing that I find interesting that I never grew up with is the Pan-African Saturday School and how that can impact our community, because we see that a lot of other communities have had enough of education and schooling, and then they said to themselves, you know what, we're going to open a school and we're going to, example, even if we look at the madrasa system and things like that, where they get things done, and code and communities are able to keep an Arabic language or a foreign language and learn certain things that are foreign to this country. Whereas I look at ourselves as a community, as black people, and I think like, where are Pan-African schools?
Yeah, I used to go supplementary school as a child, and you know, and part of that was because of, once again, they didn't feel that mainstream school was supporting our needs, but also the visibility. Now, it's not hard to set up a supplementary school on a weekend, and I would, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about how they've been through that, and I really think that there needs to be a new version of that.
100%.
But once again, you tweak it. You teach entrepreneurship. You know how to. You know, you teach
Life skills.
Life skills. You know, it can't. You know, it's not
So we
just.
see these centres all up and down the road helping people with GCSEs and all of that. Where are the Pan-African schools, man? The visibility of them being there and being able to send the kids, and where do we force that through to add it on to be an extra GCSE? How do we do that? How do we change policies? Because I see, like, I had a conversation with my kids' school, and you know, and I asked them, can I add an extra GCSE as an Arabic language? Can I add that as an extra GCSE? And the headmaster's like, okay, no problem. Come sit down, talk to me, and let's see how we can facilitate for you to add that on for him to be an extra GCSE as an Arabic language. So I feel like one thing I learned from the headmasters and that run schools as well, they said that there's no one school that is run the same. I don't know what he meant by that, but he said that because he was saying that as much as we have, you know, directions in terms of how to run the school, but within that direction there's like a 0 to 10, and anything in between that covers what they've been told to do, if you know what I mean.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah,
like
yeah.
they might be told about talk about this, or let's say example, talk about sex education, and then there's a minimum they have to, a requirement, but then there's a maximum they can take it to, and it's up for that headmaster to say, we want to take it up to level 2 or 3, and there's another school that you might go in there, they're taking it to 10. They've got everything going on in their sector, and that's how they've chosen to spend their money.
Yeah, so it's yeah. So you'll get that. So that's why you see some schools, they're very proactive about violence reduction.
Yeah,
But some school, you know, another school up the road, they'll just do one assembly.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think just to respond to what you're saying, or which I'm taking from that, is people got to start knocking on doors.
Yeah.
You know, if you're watching this podcast and you don't know who your MP is,
Yeah, it's a problem.
you don't know who your MP is.
Some people don't know who never had a conversation with the headmaster of their child's school.
Yeah, you don't know who your local council is. They work for you. You know, they are there to represent you. So if you've got something happening in your community, you reach out to them, let them know who you are, hold them to account. You know, you can't be thinking about these big objectives and locally, you know, you're not active.
I know people who were homeless and held their local councillors and MPs, you know, responsible, and houses got found. Like by sending letters and bringing it to the forefront to the point they're like, why is this person?
Your DMs are going to be full after this one.
But yeah, I've seen that because they've taken it to that level. And then because someone's written to them, he has to then respond accordingly and chase up and ask questions. And then when they receive a letter from the local MP about a certain case, they think, why is this case special? Why has he mentioned this man?
Civic participation, that's all it is. Be part of it. You know, civic participation comes before social activism, because that civic participation is where you are, right? And you said something earlier on in the show about sometimes you're looking far the other side of the world and you feel it. It's not about not feeling it. It's about, you know, you energy's going over there, and I get why, but what's happening outside your front door?
100%. And I feel like we just got to be more, because obviously again as well, we have this thing that we can close on this. I feel like we have this thing within the community where people politically don't believe in doing anything politically. They feel like no change comes from it. It's all rigged. It's all this. It's all that. But a lot of the time, I feel like people are more looking at the national level rather than the local level. What's the difference between voting nationally and locally for the people who are not really into voting or trying to make change within the community locally, for us to kind of bring in different policies holding people accountable?
And that's your right if you don't want to do that, but it still doesn't stop an individual from participating in civic society. Yeah, you can't, you can't consistently complain about, the challenges that are within your community and you're not visible. You're not visible. You're not building those bricks. Those bricks are being laid in Medina by hand. By hand. You have to put a shift in. That's what that teaches me. That's it wasn't about send call so and so to lay the bricks. They were done by hand.
Yeah, you have to put your work in.
And that's it, man.
Everyone's got a play to play. Boy, we could be here forever talking about the community and the issues at hand and where we go from here. But yeah, man, I just feel like, I don't know, man, there's so much to cover, but people get involved in the comments, anyhow, in terms of if there's any information that you might want from this session that we've held here today, anything that you might want discussed further, I'll come in there, or I'll get some information, I'll pass it on, and we can take it from there. But again, Ray, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Hold on. Where can they find you?
Yeah, we're going to add that in there. But
At Gangology.
Gangology.
Yeah, at Gangology on Twitter. Not dogmatic on Instagram. And I'm not going on TikTok because I'm a grown-ass man.
No, TikTok.
I'm a grown-ass man, right?
No, we're not going there. We're going to leave all of that in the caption underneath, so you can find Ray, find his works, everything that he's doing, keep up to date, subscribe, like. Also, don't forget, check out Reso, check out our accounts. If you've got any trainers, you want to donate, you see what's going on right here. We're only taking fresh whites, nothing less, no more, now. Only jokes. But if you got something there for us, donate, make a difference in the community. And that's what we're about. We're out.